We're being told that right now, staying home is the safest thing for everyone to curb the spread of this vicious virus. But for victims of domestic violence, staying home can be a dangerous place. And experts are concerned about what impacts one pandemic will have on another. At the bottom of the screen, a phone number for anyone who may need help. From Scarborough to Halton, York Region, Durham and Peel, many shelters for those experiencing domestic violence that were already operating at capacity prior to COVID-19 are alarmed by what they're seeing.
Our calls have at least doubled. So I know that there's been weeks where we've received more than 400 calls, which for us is not, usually we receive around 200 calls.
Nisa Homes, which provides transitional housing for Muslim and immigrant women in Canada, isn't alone with seeing the rise in calls. The Ontario Association of Interval and Transition Houses says there are currently 17,000 women and children in the system. And of the 70 violence against women shelters they represent,
20% of them had experienced an increase in calls for intake. So that's for women needing to come in to shelter due to a high-risk safety issue. We're also navigating the reality that home isn't safe for many survivors of violence.
On the other end of the spectrum are shelters seeing fewer calls from women in need of help. Shelters like Halton Women's Place.
That's kind of concerning because we know that there are women and children in unhealthy, violent, abusive homes that cannot call, cannot reach out because they're not able to have that reprieve of their partner going to work and they can make that call or leave.
CityNews reached out to a number of police forces across the GTA about domestic violence-related calls. York Region has seen an increase of 22% in the last 30 days. In Durham, police calls have gone up by 14% year-to-date, while in Peel Region, the numbers have remained the same. Toronto police say they've received almost 2,000 calls since March 1st, but the numbers are going down since social distancing measures began. Despite this data, shelter workers say most victims and survivors of gender-based violence don't call police. And during this pandemic, they are hoping people check in on one another.
They might need you in different ways because those people might not be able to access supports, given that our changing landscape has really shifted.
A recent StatsCan survey shows that there are Canadians who are concerned about violence in their homes during COVID-19. To learn more about this, take your phone camera, point it to the code at the bottom of the screen. That'll take you to our website where you can learn more about this story. Ahead on City News, a change in how shelters are reaching out to the most vulnerable and how the government is helping.